Topic 3. Joe Ennis asks, hey guys, I've always found that while I'm really good at some genres of games, there's some that I just can't do. What games are you bad at?
Fighting games. I hate fighting games. I don't enjoy fighting games. I don't enjoy the way they move, play. I don't enjoy combos. And I tried for a long time. Mortal Kombat, we were all over that as a bunch of kids, doing fatalities, doing cool stuff. Justice League Task Force. Why not? Yeah, I shouldn't care
Why
about this. This should be something I'm good at. And I even like when you talk about like the Acclaim wrestling games, which aren't fighting games per se, but they have the combo based moves rather than just strong grapple, weak grapple, like the AKI folks were doing. It just never ever clicks to the point. I just even like when like, oh, I want to play Injustice and I want to see that story through because I already like the comics so much. Or when I might have reviewed DC versus Mortal Kombat or Mortal Kombat versus DC. It's just getting in there and how stiff everything feels and how hard it is to get my character over there the way I want them to go over there. And because you're doing that thing where you're just doing like the little hops, you're like, God fucking no, just move. Oh, God damn it. What the hell's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And it's one of those that I don't try. You know what I mean? Like when I play Injustice, what I would do is go through and play. And then when I'd get beat, then I would just put the controller down and let it beat me twice more. Because then when you do it, they just fucking take it. They just take it in the story mode so you can get through them because I just want to see the cutscenes. I don't want to do any of this crap. I don't want anything to do with this. But dialing back to like when we did play Mortal Kombat and when we were playing, games like that in Mike Boylan's basement on Genesis or whatever, it's like I was playing and I was trying and I was still just not having a good time and nothing clicks. It doesn't click for me. That the franchise doesn't work or that genre doesn't work for me in terms of how it should all come together to make an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I'm not good at them either. I do enjoy them a lot though, and I like playing to my capabilities.
Sure.
And watching Evo. Did you guys watch Evo at all?
I didn't watch it this year, but a guy from Long Island murdered us. So that's the only reason I was even.
It was insane this year. I mean, it's always insane, but just seeing the spectacle of Evo itself is just like, good lord. Their set was. You see the set at all? You see any pictures? Yeah. My God, it's just like a giant cube of just destruction and awesomeness, and I just enjoy it because it's like we've seen kind of like the League of Legends and all the MOBAs and stuff and like the kind of sets and extravagance they have, but to see it for just fighting games and seeing them the crowd go crazy when they rolled out CRT TVs to play Melee on, that's fucking awesome. But yeah, I've never been too good at them either. Like Street Fighter, I like to play, but I'm not great at it. I'm not even good at it, I'd say. Marvel vs. Capcom, I think is one that to me is a bit more fun. I can't play it on the technical level of like Mark Ryan or someone. Those motherfuckers just dominate. But I also can't just wrap my head around it because like it is not so much stiff movement, but it's like movement that is very designed where like every single thing you're doing has a purpose, right. And the balance of everything is all completely thought out. And it's just like I don't have the brain capacity to wrap my head around it.
Sure.
I'm inherently talentless at adventure games and puzzle games, and for like I was talking about this with someone recently that I have a knack for side scrollers. Like I understand exactly how to play most of these games and like understand how they feel and can really like run over these games pretty easily once I spend enough time with them. And I'm the exact opposite with puzzle games and adventure games. Like adventure games aren't necessarily hard; they're just obtuse, and I don't find that fun. Right? Like so. We've experimented a few times with, these games, Grim Fandango and stuff. And I'm like, this game's like, I don't want to say it sucks. For me, the game sucks. Like, I'm just like, I know it's a beloved game. I'm not trying to insult it, but it's like, why is this fun? I have to like talk to these people, find this obtuse thing to do this other obtuse thing.
Take
and
this
run around
and rub it on the microphone.
My hair. I'm like, this is awful. Like so the adventure games aren't necessarily hard. They're just obnoxious, in that sense.
And you mean old school ones too. I feel like nowadays things
they're a little easier now.
Yeah,
because Telltale games are adventure games, but they're they're not really adventure games in the classic sense.
Different.
That's what they are. I mean, what other genre are they? Like that's exactly what they are. But it's just that they just continue to go. I mean, it's like Quantic Dream games or adventure games, but they don't stop. You don't die. Like, so it's like, so that's like where I can, Until Dawn, for instance, is an adventure game. And it's like, that's, you can't lose, so like those are fine, or you can't get stuck really.
Right. The only old school one I ever enjoyed was Full Throttle. And that was just, you're going to be able to play that soon. I know, I'm looking forward to it. But even when they brought Broken Age out and were like, it's more of a callback to the old adventure games, I sat down and played episode 1 and I beat it. And I was just like, no. Sorry, I'm not doing episode 2. It's just I can't do this.
The other side of this coin for me is puzzle games, and that's where I'm actually like really bad at them. So like when like I just don't see the fun in annoying the shit out of myself in these games. So I remember when Portal came out, in the orange box. That was like what, fall 2007. I was people playing it. I'm like, this is like awful. Like I like,
God.
and everyone's like, this game's so fun. I'm like, no, I get it. Like I know you love it. I'm like, I can't. Wow. Like I'm like, I played it for like a half an hour before I got stuck, and I'm like, I don't. And they're like, it's not that hard. I'm like, I don't. This is so annoying. And that's.
So that's why you don't like Limbo.
Right. Well, Limbo I think is fine, but Limbo's not that hard either. It's just like I like games where it's like the challenge is mechanical, right? Like, not like, like look around the environment and find the rock that you have to pick up to put on this switch to make this thing disappear. And then it's like, I don't know, man. If I want to like think, like really think deeply, I'll read a book, like I don't want to like, that's not why I play games. So like, I love games that like Castlevania or Mega Man and Ninja Gaiden, like we were talking about earlier, that are like, those games are hard mechanically. Those are mechanically hard games, and you feel good when you figure out the mechanics of them. And I understand completely people wanting to be like, well, it's the same kind of feeling, the same kind of like carrot at the end of a stick where you're, you figure it out or whatever. That's why when The Witness came out, I was like, no way in hell. I was like, there's no way in hell I'm playing this game. Not because I don't believe it's good, but because it doesn't work with my mind. It reminds me of the Adventures of Lolo trilogy on NES, which is like a beloved puzzle game on the NES. And I remember playing and being like, it's so satisfying when you finish a stage, but is it worth the obnoxiousness that I feel in my heart right now? When I could just be playing something else entirely.
That's the worst, when you play one of these games and you run into that point and there's not an enemy to beat, but you are in an empty room and you're backtracking all around and you look at the clock, you're like, it's been 30 to 45 minutes of this. I could have been playing anything else and making progress and getting closer to finishing something and feeling I accomplished something.
Right. And I'm not saying that there aren't exceptions to the rule. I think a great exception to the rule is Hitman Go, which I think is really fun. And that is a puzzle game, but like it's turn-based and a little more easy for my mind to wrap around. I just never vibed with those kinds of games. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I grew up with consoles. I had PCs, but we didn't play games on them really. And I grew up with consoles, and we had, Maniac Mansion and all these kinds of games, but it wasn't the same. Like those are the kinds of games that I grew up with.
What about things like Tetris, like that type of?
Oh, well, that's different. I mean, Tetris's puzzle is like, how can you fit the lines over and over? Like that's easy to understand. What I'm talking about, like the game plays itself. What I'm talking about is, here's a world, and like, so like when everyone's like, The Witness is great, I'm like, I just don't believe you, like, and so
that's crazy. Like Portal to me, like, I mean, again,
people love fucking Portal, dude.
Yeah,
people love that game. I don't. People, that's some people's favorite game, and I respect that. I remember when Portal 2 came out, I'm like, no. Like people are like, you want to play Portal 2? I'm like, there's no prayer I'm playing Portal 2. I have like post-traumatic stress disorder from Portal 1. So it's just, but the thing that gets me, I was talking about both of you about this earlier, is that what gets me is that I take a lot of pride in being good at mechanically driven games, as I said earlier. Like that's how I play games. That's what I like. And so Downwell, which I've been playing on Vita, is one of these anomalies where I'm like, I don't know that I've spent that much time with it. The Downwell's over pretty quickly. I've probably spent fewer than 5 hours with it in total because it just moves quickly. But it's one of those games where I'm like, why am I not getting any better at this? Like I play it. I'm like, I'm just not any good at it. Then I called up on YouTube like a high level speedrun of the game, and I'm like, oh, like the boots aren't really a weapon. Like they're
like last resort. You have to land on everybody and kill them.
Right. The boots are used like do you know anything about Downwell? Nope. So Downwell, people should check it out because it's really cool. It's a very mysterious Japanese indie game available on PC. It's on PS4 and Vita. I don't know that it's available anywhere else. Where you're falling down a well, hence the name. And there are enemies, and you have these gun boots that have different powers or whatever. And the gun boots can damage enemies and get through blocks, and you're bouncing off of enemies' heads trying to build combos and get lower and lower into the well. And it's all about combos, but it's all about speed. But I was playing, I'm like, do I play carefully? Do I play it with some sort of precision? Do I play it with speed? And I just couldn't figure it out.
It's a mobile game.
Yeah, it's available on mobile too. And I couldn't imagine how you can possibly play it on mobile, but I believe people do, because it's so tactile in my mind. You only play it with the X button and the D-pad. That's it. And what I realized was that no, you use the gun boots to so the gun boots have a certain amount of ammo, and then when you land, the ammo refills. And so what I didn't realize was that the ammo was refilling when I was bouncing off enemies' heads, and so you use the gun boots to stay off the ground and land on another enemy, and then the boots, and then you build up these like ridiculous combos and build up scores and all that kind of stuff. But even after I understood it and started playing, I'm like, I'm only marginally better at it now. It's one of those games where I'm like, for all these hardcore games that I great at, I'm like, fuck. Like I actually almost take this. It's almost like the anti-pride. Like I'm ashamed.
It was my last flight where it finally clicked on me. Of like, oh, don't shoot everything. Bounce off of them. Yeah. Oh, okay. This is. But even once I figured that out, I'm not into like I'm getting further into levels. But I'm not, like,
and it's one of those things where there are enemies like with a white sheen on them, and then there are enemies that are hard colored, and the hard colored enemies you can't bounce off of. You only have to kill them with the boots, and then it's totally heinous. Like but I like it. Like there's something about it where that keeps drawing me back because I'm bad at it. Mm-hmm. As opposed to the adventure games where I'm like, fuck this shit. Like I couldn't care less about any of these games. This Downwell game, because I should be good at it, but I'm not good at it, is harkening me back every night. I pick up my Vita and play
every night for 4 hours.
Like I only for literally 10 or 15 minutes. I'm like, I play this and I'm like, fuck this game. And then I put it back down.
You can't stop thinking about it.
I can't. Like, so it's funny. Like, so even the games that I probably should by design be good at, I'm not. At least in this particular case. So, but I find much more pleasure in the games that are like, that don't use the brain in the thinking man's way, but use the brain in the brute force. Like I'm going to finesse this. Ninja Gaiden, which we were talking about in the first segment, is a great example of that, where that game is so fast and so fluid. It's Mega Man meets Castlevania. And what I mean by that is it's faster than Mega Man. But it has the Castlevania sub-item thing where you're like hitting candles and get it. And then I'm like, it's so fast and so good. And when you're good at, like when I watch someone play Ninja Gaiden, I judge them completely on how good of a gamer they are, you know, like, cause that's like one of that's a litmus test for me. I understand why people are bad at Mega Man. You know, I understand why people are bad at Castlevania. It's very stiff, but Ninja Gaiden feels perfect. And so you can really judge a man or woman on their gaming acumen by just putting them in Ninja Gaiden and seeing how they do.
Seeing what happens. Yeah. For me, it's first-person shooters. I am so bad at killing things with that. My aim is just off for some reason. Just does not click, whether it's mouse and keyboard or controller. I just can't do it. Now, that's why games like Overwatch are so great to me, because I don't need to kill people. It's all, random objective-based stuff. Totally into that. But for some reason, like even back in the Halo days, like Alfredo would be out there killing, I'm gonna go and capture the flag, and I'm all about that. But I'm not good at shooting things. I'm not, for some reason, I can never be comfortable with the aiming sensitivity. Whether I boost it up, bring it down, it never feels
like Goldilocks. Nothing's perfect.
It's never right.
Gotcha.
And it drives me crazy. So it's because it's like that is such a basic thing that I feel like that is kind of the modern day standard of, are you good at games? I'm not good at games. I know that, but this is proof of why not. First person shooters.
I've noticed over time, because I think I'm loath to say that I'm good at shooters because I don't play them competitively. I think I'm good when I play against a hard AI or something like that. But I've noticed that I like to put the sensitivity all the way down almost. So like I really have to really move the gun, and I find that I have a lot more control that way.
It's crazy with Alfredo because he's definitely the best gamer I know overall, regardless of genre.
What about Jackie Big Plays Butler?
I mean, she does things.
Okay.
But Alfredo is really good at shit, and specifically first-person shooters. But it's funny talking to him because over time he's gotten worse, and he's like, dude, like me getting old, my reflexes aren't the same. And he's like, I've had to change my sensitivity over time just because I can't keep up with it. I'm like, that's crazy that he plays on that level, that's something that he noticed,
I was better at games when I was 10 than I am now.
100%.
Like, there's no doubt about, like, I used to fucking murder some of these games. Like Kid Icarus. Like I used to be awesome at that game. That's a hard game. Yeah. And I play it now and I can beat it, but I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, I'm really struggling over here. And 10-year-old Colin was running roughshod.
Do you think it was because you jumped in, or because you focused on a game one at a time and you knew? Because I remember like, I'd play a side scroller for Death and Return of Superman or whatever, and like I knew where the enemies were entering from, what they're gonna do, and where the optimal position go. And so yeah, by the end when you're like fucking wrecking house, it was because I knew everywhere that something would be. Whereas like now getting thrown in, I just like, well, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm getting destroyed.
It could be, yeah. I think it's like those. It reminds me of Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10 that both had trophies for beating it without getting hit. And young Colin would have been like, fine, and old Colin was like, I can't do that. Like that's too hard. Even for me, that's crazy. That's just too much. Those are some of the rarest trophies you can get. And I was like, I got the trophy for beating it without dying and all that kind of. I mean, that's not a problem. But I'm like, you gotta be. And I was watching people do these run throughs of this where I'm like, I don't even know how the fuck you figured some of this shit out. Like, this is I don't have time for this anymore. But when Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3 came out, I would have beaten that without getting hit. I would have totally done that for fun, But I really do think my skills have atrophied a great deal since I was a kid. And it could be because of the focus, but I also think it has to do with reflexes. And I also think it has to do with just the way we looked at games and the way we were obsessed with them and the way we thought about them. I mean, I thought about games when I was a kid all the time. I played games constantly. I just don't play like that anymore. And so like, I think that I haven't played like that even when I worked at IGN. For years, I didn't play like that.
I wonder if anyone does. Like, I wonder if kids these days, I mean, there's the Minecrafts and stuff like that, but just when we're looking at console games, I wonder if kids are playing games how we used to, or because things are so much more MP3 based, where it's like nobody listens to albums anymore. Now they just listen to a bunch of songs. Are video games the same way, where there's so many out there, and when you have the virtual consoles and the PSN and all this stuff, it is just, and PS Plus, which just free games being thrown at you, and just like there's so much out there that is it just a lot of demos that they're playing and they're kind of moving on to the next thing?
Probably. And I think you can also, I think it's also games are just easier. So I think that like you can move on quicker. Even if you're going to play the games all the way through, you're not going to run into too many games that are as hard as those games on that list from the first segment at all. You know, what game comes out today that's as hard as Ninja Gaiden? You know, like for every Super Meat Boy or something that prides itself on being hard, there are a million games where I'm like, this is laughably easy. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a constant, there's that too, where people are like, they just don't have to spend as much time with it. If you could be Ninja Gaiden when you were a kid, you were a fucking G, dude. You know, like,
yeah, no, good lord.
I mean, like that, like
definitely could not have done that.
I remember, I used to play those games when I was a kid. I was obsessed with that trilogy when I was a kid. I loved that, with the exception of Mega Man and Castlevania. That was my shit. And I remember when it came, we were doing the top NES list at IGN in 2007 or 2008. I had all the games on my PSP, my modded PSP. And I remember playing Ninja Gaiden and beating it, but I used save states at the end because I'm like, I don't even remember how the fuck to do this anymore. Like, I'm not even gonna bother. And so I think that people had that mentality too.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the list of NES games, like, there's very few of these that I actually beat when I was a kid. A lot of them I went back and beat later, but yeah, me beating Zelda when I was little, fuck that. There's not even a chance in hell of that happening. Mega Man still probably couldn't beat. I'm sure if I dedicated myself to it, I could beat Mega Man.
It's not as hard as you think. Mega Man 2 is easy. Mega Man 2 is legit easy compared to the other ones.
Yeah, Zelda 2, yeah, right. I've to this day never beat Zelda 2.
Fucking love that game. I can't wait to do a Let's Play for that game. I love it. I'm going to use my own walkthrough too.
Did you beat it?
Yeah.
When you were young?
Yeah, he used Nintendo Power or something like that. But yeah, I beat. Dude, you have to understand that. Like, I had a brother that was 11 years older than me. I legit beat a lot of these games.
I had Kevin
by watching my brother and sometimes getting his help. But I mean, I was legit beating games when I was. When I tell people like I was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 playing and beating like games, it's true. You know, like I really was, because I was just I had a person that was way older than me playing these games and showing me how to do it.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, that's a game changer. You know, just somebody to help you through the random parts you're stuck at, the random parts you don't understand or can't read.
Dude, I remember when Mario 3 came out, 90, 91, my brother would play it and I would like take my Legos and build airships like that. He was like my own airship or whatever. And you just like watch and learn. And then when it's your turn, when he goes to school or he's gone and you play, then like you are way better at it than you probably should be.
What's super funny about that is back when DDR came out, like I was super into that shit. And my friend Curran, totally not. This is back when he was fat. He was super not into it. And he was just like, I'm never going to play this. And he never played it. And he just watched me play it for about a year. And then randomly one time, first time he played it, and he just fucking went straight to hard and was killing it. And it's just like, I've just watched for so long. Like, I get it. Mm-hmm. I'm like,
is that how he got skinny then? He just played on hard the rest of the time?
And he just kept going. And then he got super fit. I'm like, God damn. He used to be so fat.
Really?
Yeah, I miss Fat Curran. He was so much nicer then. Now he's all mean. He had blue hair.
Like me?
Yeah, just like you. Yeah, but Metroid, get the fuck out of here. Yeah,
Metroid's legitimately hard.
Yeah, it's like
just because there's no map
obtuse.
and yeah, those are the days of hand drawing your shit, which what people were saying people were doing in The Witness too, which I thought was cool with graph paper and stuff. But I remember Metroid being like, even in the time we were playing it, I remember being like, that game intimidated me when I was a kid. No, I played it, but it was.
Did you beat that?
Not till later.
I never beat the OG Metroid. I beat Metroid Zero Mission, which was the remake,
right?
But it was much, much easier.
Yeah, no, the original Metroid's tough. That's a fucking tough game. Yeah.
And yeah, Kid Icarus.
Kid Icarus is hard.
Yeah.
Kid Icarus gets heinous. Punch Out, I really don't believe is that hard. Like we were talking about it on Colin and Greg, where I'm like, I want to beat as many of these games as possible, if not all of them, on the Let's Play series that we do with them. And it's like, and you were asking me when I play Punch Out, and I'm like, yeah, because like there's rules. Like if you know how to play, it's the same thing with Mega Man. Like if you just know what everyone's weaknesses is, you should have no problem. Yeah. You know, and I think that it's the same thing with Punch Out. Like there's some fucking hard ass people in Punch Out. It's no joke, some of that shit, but you just gotta like get back into that zone. It's not so mechanical. It's mechanical based, but it's timing based, and that's even easier to predict.